According to a 2017 study from the American Cancer Society, colon cancer is the fourth leading cancer in the United States and the third in cause of death. Currently, 37% of people with colon cancer will die from it. Colon cancer is an inflammation-induced cancer, and so currently the main chemotherapy agent is 5-fluorouracil or 5-FU, and at the moment it only causes a 15% response rate. So only 15% of people are responding to this chemotherapy treatment. So what we need to do in order to enhance that is we need to come up with a different method in addition to 5-FU in order to increase the anti-cancer effects. The goal of this presentation is to explain how I'm trying to combat a colon cancer pathway in my research lab. The pathway involves 5-fluorouracil, 5-FU like I previously mentioned, nuclear factor kappa B, vitamin E, and simvastatin. And now behind me is a poster that I will use as my visual aid. It does follow the assertion evidence model. So my assertion is increasing the anti-cancer effects of the chemotherapy drug 5-fluorouracil by adding vitamin E and simvastatin. And then here's the evidence for my assertion. And so I will go through this and explain it as I present to you. So to start with background, at the top left you can see that there's this image, and so I'll kind of explain the image. It's kind of tough to see because I'm presenting on a big poster, but I will explain it thoroughly. So according to a 2003 study in Nature, 5-FU or 5-fluorouracil is a major chemotherapy agent. So what happens in this pathway is that 5-FU will bind to this molecule TS where uracil is supposed to bind. So it's basically like this fake nucleotide. And so what happens is when the 5-FU binds, it causes cell stress and eventually cell death. So that is how it's supposed to function. But a chemoresistance has developed for 5-fluorouracil, and so we need to overcome this chemoresistance in order to make 5-FU more effective. Now NF-kappa B. According to a 2005 study in Trends in Immunology, NF-kappa B, or nuclear factor kappa B, is very involved in inflammation-induced cancer pathways. So this NF-kappa B, as you can see from this image over here, NF-kappa B is present in inflammation-induced cancers. So when there's inflammation in the system, NF-kappa B is transcribing genes for anti-cell death and growth factors. So this NF-kappa B kind of drives the entire, or it inhibits the 5-FU by transcribing genes for the anti-cell death and the growth factors. So that's how NF-kappa B kind of functions in the system. Now to vitamin E. According to a 2014 study in Free Radical Biology and Medicine, there are 4 natural forms of vitamin E that have anti-cancer effects. So basically the whole goal of my lab is to examine vitamin E. So here there are 4 natural forms, and there are 8 natural forms, and 4 of those forms have anti-cancer effects. And so I'll be showing you a little bit more about that later, but that is kind of how that works. And so what the vitamin E actually does is it inhibits the NF-kappa B through the inflammation pathway. So it inhibits NF-kappa B, which will allow 5-FU or 5-fluorouracil to function. Now a little bit about simvastatin, as you can see up here from this image. So according to a 2008 article in the International Journal of Cancer, simvastatin potentially has anti-cancer effects. So what simvastatin is it's a lipid-lowering medication. So when you have like high cholesterol, you use simvastatin to lower the cholesterol. So what we're seeing in cancer cells is we are seeing that there is an increase in cholesterol. So we're trying currently to add simvastatin to this treatment to see if that will help the anti-cancer effects. So now, where do I fit in to this research? So what I do is I culture colon cancer cells. And here I have a little bit about the methodology. It's very tough to see, but yes. So what I do is I perform 5-day experiments. On the first day, I will plate the colon cancer cells onto a plate. The second day, I will treat them with different treatments, and then the next 3 days in a row, I will record data. I will record data based on the relative cell viability, or the amount of living cells that are still in the system. So by performing these treatments, I will understand how much cell death our combinations will cause in the cell, like on the cellular level. So what we have found, according to this data, these are our results here. There is, in fact, a synergistic combination between 5-fluorouracil, simvastatin, and vitamin E. So when the three are combined in the system, there is an increased anti-cancer effectiveness, which is perfect. That's exactly what we're looking for. And then finally, by combining these three substances in colon cancer cells, we can reduce the amount of cancer cells in cell culture. So we are seeing this cell death, and we are seeing it function. So when the three are in combination with each other, they will actually allow, so the simvastatin and the and the vitamin E will actually allow the 5-fluorouracil to function like it normally should. And so that induces the cell death and the cell stress in the system.